Welcome to Everyday Dharma Talks, where silence becomes insight. I remember a time when fear was not a companion but an enemy. It lived in the pit of my stomach, a cold, heavy stone that I carried everywhere. Its favorite time to appear was just before I had to speak in front of people. It didn't matter if it was a small team, meeting, or a larger presentation, the feeling was always the same. My heart would begin to beat not like a drum, but like a trapped bird throwing itself against the cage of my ribs. My palms would grow damp. My mind, which moments before had been clear and ordered, would become a storm of static and self-doubt. For years, I treated this fear as something to be conquered. I read books on confidence. I practiced power poses in front of the mirror. I tried to psych myself out, telling myself, "You are fearless. You are powerful." I would try to argue with it, using logic to prove it had no reason to exist. I would try to smother it, pushing it down with sheer force of will. Each time I had to speak, the battle would begin. I would armor myself up ready for the fight. And sometimes I would win. I would get through the presentation, my voice only shaking a little. And people would nod and say, "Good job." I would feel relief, a fleeting sense of victory. But the victory never lasted. The stone in my stomach would always return, sometimes heavier than before because the war was exhausting. Fighting an enemy that lived inside of me was a constant drain on my life force. The turning point was not a grand victory but a quiet surrender. Waiting to give a talk to a group of people, much larger than I was used to. The fear was immense. The trapped bird was frantic. My breath was shallow and the familiar cold was creeping up my spine. I had done all my usual preparations, the power poses, the self-talk, the deep breathing exercises, but nothing was working. The fear was winning. I felt a wave of despair, a feeling of, "I can't do this. I just can't fight this anymore." And in that moment of giving up the fight, something shifted. Exhausted, I stopped pushing. I stopped struggling. I simply noticed. I closed my eyes and instead of trying to silence my racing heart, I just listened to it. I felt the heat in my face, the tension in my shoulders. I didn't label it as good or bad. It was just there, and I spoke to it, not with anger but with a quiet acceptance. Silently in my mind, I said, "Ah, you are here again. I see you." I didn't ask it to leave. I didn't command it to be quiet. I just acknowledged its presence, like you would acknowledge an old, anxious friend who has shown up at your door unexpectedly. An old friend who always means well, who is only trying to protect you, but does so in a clumsy and overwhelming way. I took a breath, and then another. I imagined I was breathing with the fear, not against it, making space for it. The stone in my stomach didn't vanish. The bird in my chest didn't suddenly fall silent. But they grew quieter. The frantic energy softened into a gentle thrumming. The fear was still there, but it was no longer my enemy. It was just a companion for the journey. When I walked on stage, it walked with me. It sat in the front row, and I gave my talk, aware of its presence but no longer at war with it. And for the first time, I felt a sense of peace, not because the fear was gone, but because the fight was over. The core lesson from that day has stayed with me ever since. We spend so much of our lives trying to eradicate our fear, but peace is not found in its elimination. It is found in changing our relationship with it. We often believe that satisfaction comes from victory. The victory over a challenge, the victory over an opponent, the victory over our own perceived weaknesses. This kind of satisfaction is like a firework. Brilliant, beautiful explosion in the night sky. It's thrilling, it's powerful. And for a moment it lights up everything. But then just as quickly it's gone. And the darkness that returns feels even darker than before. We are left wanting another explosion, another victory, another high. This is the cycle of fighting our fear. The brief relief after a successful presentation. The fleeting joy of having conquered it is a firework. It doesn't last and it leaves us exhausted, waiting for the next battle. True and sustainable satisfaction is not a firework. It is the sun. The sun doesn't burst into the sky. It rises slowly, steadily, and bathes the world in a gentle, persistent warmth. It isn't about a momentary victory. It is about a constant presence. This is the kind of peace that comes from making friends with our fear. The struggle to get rid of fear is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The more energy you exert pushing it down, trying to make it disappear from sight, the more violently it will eventually burst back to the surface, often when you least expect it. The effort is constant, stressful, and ultimately futile. You can never truly relax, because you are always holding that ball down. Making peace with fear is simply letting go. It's allowing the beach ball to float on the water beside you. You don't have to like it. You don't have to play with it. You simply acknowledge that it's there. You let it be. All the energy you were wasting in the fight is suddenly freed. Now you can use your arms to swim. You can look at the horizons. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your face. The beach ball is still there, floating nearby, but it no longer has power over you. The satisfaction comes not from the absence of the ball, but from the freedom you gain when you stop fighting it. This is a quiet, deep, and sustainable joy. It is the warmth of the sun, a peace that doesn't depend on winning, but on simply being. I would like to gently invite you to try this in your own life. Think of a fear that you live with. Perhaps it is a big fear, or perhaps it is a small, nagging one that shows up every day. A fear you have been fighting, trying to push away, trying to conquer. You do not have to defeat it. You only have to change the way you greet it. The next time you feel its arrival, the next time you feel that familiar tightening in your chest, or that cold knot in your stomach, I invite you to pause. Instead of immediately beginning the battle, just pause. First, simply notice it and name it without judgment. Just say to yourself, "Ah, this is fear." That's all. Not "this is that horrible feeling again," or "I need to get rid of this." Just a simple, gentle recognition. Fear is here. Second, acknowledge its presence as you would a visitor. You can say internally with kindness, "I see you. I feel you." You can even acknowledge its intention, however misguided it may seem. "I know you are trying to keep me safe." This simple act of acknowledgement changes the dynamic from a fight to a conversation. You are not an enemy to be attacked, but a presence to be recognized. Finally, breathe with it. Do not try to use your breath to blow it away. Imagine your breath creating space around the feeling. If the fear feels like a tight knot in imagine your breath flowing into your stomach and gently creating a soft space around that knot. You are not trying to untie the knot. You are just giving it room to be. Soften your shoulders. Soften your jaw. Let your body be a space of welcome rather than a battlefield. This is not a one-time fix. It is a practice. It is the slow, gentle cultivation of a new friendship. A quiet friendship. It requires patience, and it requires a great deal of compassion for yourself. But it is a path away from war and toward peace. This practice doesn't only apply to our biggest, most dramatic fears. The true beauty of it lies in how it transforms the smallest moments of our daily lives. This friendship with fear allows us to find courage not in a loud roar but in a quiet breath. Think of the small fear of speaking your mind in a meeting at work. The fear whispers, "What if they think my idea is stupid? What if I say the wrong thing?" The old way is to either fight the fear and force yourself to speak with aggression, or to surrender to it and stay silent. The new way, the quiet friendship, is to notice the fear rising in your throat. You acknowledge it. "Ah, there you are. Fear of being judged." You take a soft breath. You let the fear be there next to you. And then you speak anyway. Not with force, but with quiet intention. Your voice might tremble slightly. That's okay. The fear is there, but so is your voice. You have allowed both to exist. Consider the fear of starting something new, like learning an instrument or trying a difficult recipe. The fear of failure and imperfection can be paralyzing. Instead of fighting it, you can welcome it. Hello, fear of not being good enough. You let it sit with you as you pick up the guitar. You feel its presence as you chop the onions. The goal is no longer a perfect performance or a perfect meal. The goal is the simple, beautiful act of trying, of feeling the strings beneath. Your fingers, of smelling the garlic as it cooks. The fear is there, but so is the joy of the present moment. Even in moments of loneliness, this can be a guide. The fear of being alone can make us scramble to fill every empty space with noise and distraction. But we can also choose to sit with it, to feel the ache of loneliness, to acknowledge it as a fear of not being connected. I see you, fear. And then you make yourself a cup of tea. You feel the warmth of the mug in your hands. You watch the steam rise. The fear of being alone is there, but so is the comfort of the tea. So is the peace of the quiet room. Meaning is not found in a life without fear. It is found in a life where we have the courage and grace to live fully, with fear as our quiet, accepted companion. Thank you for following the podcast. We will meet again in the next story. Be well.